Getting paid for creative strategy means you're on a way to becoming a high-value consultant and not only a designer that does pretty things, because you're getting paid for your thinking. In this video, I want to address what is creative strategy and how to get paid for it. I got an email the other day from Joshua who was saying, I'm doing brand identity for my clients and I want to charge for strategy, but I feel like I'm a fraud and I shouldn't get money for this if I don't bring in any new value, or if I'm just repeating to the clients what they're saying to me. So I want to address that, and let's get started by talking what is creative strategy. So when you are doing brand identity project, the result of this project has to represent, what is a branding. So a branding, or at least the visual side of branding, has to represent the strategy and what the business is. And to do that appropriately, to really represent the business visually the right way, you really have to understand who the business is and what are their business goals and strategy. So there are multiple ways to do this, and basically everyone who's doing a branding identity project has some way to create a brief. So in order to create a brief, again, you need to learn about the client, learn about their business, learn about their goals. Now, some people do this really, really quickly with maybe a questionnaire or something like that, and then they get this simple brief and they use that to create a logo. But when you do real brand strategy and you really get to know them, get to know who they are, get to know their customer, get to know what pain that their solution solves for their customer, how are they differentiated from their competitors, what is their tone of voice, what their current customers think about them already, then you have a really broader sense of who they are, how what they're actually doing is implementing their strategy. And when you know that, when you can put that out on a piece of paper or your brief, but not just a shallow brief, but really, really deep understanding, then this is super valuable for two reasons. First of all, it's like the compass. It's the compass for you to do your creative work. So it guides your creative work and it aligns everybody on their team to say, is this really who we are? Is this really the direction where we want to go? Is this really who we want to present ourselves? Now, while this sounds obvious, maybe like I'm just repeating back to them what I learned, this is not very easy to do, and it's not very simple, because a lot of times when you'll talk to different people in the company, the management team, maybe some people working in support, maybe the development team, you'll find out that not everybody see the company the same way, not everybody see the vision in the same way, not everybody understand the mission of the company in the same way. And when you take all that, you open that up as a discussion to the management team. A lot of times in that sense, you're serving kind of as the psychologist for the company, and doing that, opening up those discussions, facilitating this discussion and helping them come to an agreement, because at the end of it, there can only be one way that you want to go. And so that even that process, that whole process of facilitation becomes very, very valuable to them. And when you end up showing them the result, again, it's not that obvious. And a lot of times my clients would say to me, wow, I never had the chance to see my company that way. And they become proud. They become really excited about, when you show them who they are, who they can be, what's their real vision, what their real, value proposition to the market is. And so when you do this process, it's, again, you have to do this, and that's the way that I communicate to them. I can't do real creative work without doing this process. Otherwise, I won't really know how to, aim my creative goals, and we won't know how to judge my work. I mean, we're not going to judge it based on I like this or I don't like this. We're going to judge this based on, did we hit the goals and the strategic goals that you have for your companies? And in order to articulate them, we have to go through this process together. Now, for many years, I did this kind of like as part of how I do branding in these type of projects. So I didn't charge for this. I would charge for just the whole project, and this would be included. It wasn't, I wouldn't reduce it if my clients were asking for a lower price, because, again, I communicated to them that without this, I cannot do a good job. So sometimes, yeah, you can define the scope of this. Sometimes maybe you don't have much time for outside research and going to interview their customers and stuff like that. All right, that's fair. But you still have to do the process, at least doing interviews of the whole management team. This is kind of mandatory. And so I used to do this a lot. I understood the value of it. I got a lot of feedback from my clients that they understand the value of it. And only recently that I've started to, in the breakdown of my proposals, actually put a chart, put a price on that, and that was based on Chris Do's advice. Because when you show them that you're charging for them, they understand that this is a valuable, critical part of the process, and they actually value it the same. And my reaction from my clients was, yeah, it was true. They did value it more when they saw that they're actually paying for that. Now, the process that I'm following is process that, I developed over the years. Also, I've worked in a branding agency like, I don't know, 10 years ago, something like 10 years ago. And also, I kind of refined it lately reading the book, Creative Strategy and the Business of Design. I know that the future also have kind of core strategy, which I think is more or less the same. You can check that out. You can buy that, and that's also kind of like step-by-step process. The book is more, it's not really a step-by-step process. It's just a lot of things to consider, and I kind of broke them down into my own process. I also share the strategy presentation that I walk through with my clients, so you can check that video somewhere here and get a sense of how my process looks like. All right, hope that was valuable for you guys. Have an awesome day. Not catch you tomorrow.